We're gonna start here in just a second. Just give me 1 second. Well, give me about a minute, and then we'll start. All right, welcome back, eSIMstudios. So, apologize about that. Trying to do 5 things at once. It's been a while since I've streamed here, so I want to make sure the volume is good. Let's see here. I got a couple of things we're going to talk about today. We got, well, I guess the top 5 stories, but realistically, I think it's 4 stories here with a 5th that's attached to one of them. Interesting stuff here going on. Interesting stuff. Very exciting stuff. Let's see, can y'all hear me? I think so. Let me share the link here. And we'll get going. We have OnePlus news. As you can tell, we got Samsung news. We have iPhone, very interesting iPhone news. Moto Razr stuff going on here. I want to take a look at real quick. Now, I'm thinking about moving away from StreamYard. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. I'm kind of waiting to see how this goes because StreamYard I have not been happy with the I've been using StreamYard you can use StreamYard to record your video. You can and then put it out and upload it as a YouTube video. You can also use, obviously, StreamYard to live stream. But I've been using StreamYard to record a video and then I'll upload it, but I have not been happy with the quality. It glitches every now and then, and it's been a mess lately. So all right, let's go. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna make this maybe about 30 minutes, right? What time is it? It's 4:45. I'll probably go until like 5:15. I'm meeting. I found a really good buy on a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 on OfferUp. Somebody was asking. They initially posted it for sale for, I think it was like $500, and my daughter's thinking about getting. Well, she mentioned she wanted a Flip the other day, so I'm like, well, why would I get one now? Because the Flip 7 is coming out here in a couple months, right, in July. And then I was like, well, what if she doesn't like it? She never used one. She's used Pixel her whole life. So I was like, well, let me see if there's like a cheap Flip 6 I can buy. See if she like, you know, she can use it. See if she likes it. To see if she wants the 7. So I came across one, initial listing $500. He knocked it down to $300. Started communicating with him and talked him down to $200. Now, when you see prices like that, stuff that's like almost too good to be true, you got to do your homework, right? Because it's on you to make sure it works, make sure you can put your SIM card in it, right? Now, there's you got to check the IMEI, and there's a couple places online you can check IMEI, but you got to make sure it's not blacklisted and all that good stuff. But just be careful when you're buying it. I did all my homework, did all that stuff. So he's apparently coming over here after 5, so I'm gonna have to make this quick. But I found a good deal nonetheless. So let's see here. The OnePlus Ace 5. Let's get into this. I wanted to show y'all something very, very cool OnePlus is going to do here. Now, this is very interesting. So, as you know, OnePlus, they have their OnePlus 13, OnePlus 12, OnePlus 11, their flagship series devices. Over in China, they have an equivalent device, right? The OnePlus Ace 5 is the equivalent to the OnePlus 13. Now, they have the OnePlus Ace 5 Pro. That's the equivalent. The Pro series is the equivalent to the OnePlus 13. And then the regular Ace 5, the non-Pro, is the equivalent to the OnePlus 13R, to their R series. Well, we got leaks the other day that OnePlus is putting a MediaTek Dimensity, the flagship CPU. Is not only the 9400, which is, it competes against the Snapdragon 8 Elite. This is the 9400 plus, so it's the latest MediaTek CPU. In fact, I don't even think it's even been put in any devices yet. I mean, this is the top of the line, top notch. It'll probably run neck and neck right with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. They're gonna throw it into OnePlus, and my jaw kind of hit the floor. I did not expect to see them going with a MediaTek CPU, but I'm ecstatic. This is very good news. I've had a few MediaTek devices, and I've been really, really happy with them. Now, MediaTek charges less per CPU as far as a supplier to OnePlus or to whoever. Samsung's been in the latest Samsung Galaxy Tab series. They're using MediaTek CPUs. I think it's the 9300 CPU. The 9400, their flagship series, just came out maybe about 3 months ago, maybe around the beginning of the year. Their Tab series, I believe, is running the 9300. I had the S10 Plus and worked wonderful. So there is a new OnePlus. Now, they're going to call this OnePlus Ace 5. This is going to get the Ultra name. OnePlus Ace 5 Ultra, tipped to debut as brand's first 144 Hz display. Now, I don't know when it is going to be launched. I'm assuming it's going to be launched here in the next few weeks. Now, instead, so it'll have 144 Hz refresh rate, which is even better than the 120 Hz. Now, there's been a few Android devices that run 144 Hz, right? Motorola, which we'll get to here shortly, has had a couple devices running 144 Hz. You'll see Xiaomi running 144 Hz. Some of the Chinese manufacturers run 144 Hz, which is phenomenal for gaming. Now, not only will it have 144 Hz, but the other difference it's going to have, it'll have 16 gigs of RAM base. It'll have, I think, 256 or 512 gigs of storage. Now, this is coming with a custom gaming kernel. We discussed this, I discussed this, I think it was on a video I uploaded maybe earlier in the week. Finchi gaming kernel. So if you're an Android flashaholic like I used to be back in the day, flashing ROMs on this device and that device, this one's getting a custom gaming kernel. So this thing is going to be blazing fast, and it might just top the charts for all benchmark scores on Geekbench, on whatever else you can think of. This is probably, I would bet this outduels the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Now, we don't have any statistics. We don't have any specs. You know what? I guess we could look it up here on the fly. Let's do this. Let's go. Let me see where this compares. Let me share this tab instead. So here's a 9400 plus. And they also have a 9400E, which is I think it's more towards a AI geared CPU. How Snapdragon has the Snapdragon just released the ooh, look at this. Here we go. Snapdragon just released the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. Now the S is sort of geared towards AI, and I believe the E version of this MediaTek CPU is the same thing. Let's look at these specs. So Bluetooth 6.0. I guess we're not going to see any benchmark scores. You know what I can do before we move on real quick? Let's see what we got here. Benchmark scores. Wow, so it scores 2.6 million on Antutu. Let's see what it runs on Geekbench. Okay, pretty good. I mean, it's right up there. I don't know if it beats. I've seen some I've seen some Snapdragon 8 Elite scores on Geekbench that have the single core just over 3,000 and just over 10,000 multi-core. And you see this one here, just right under 3,000 single core and just under 10,000 for the multi-core. So it's going to be neck and neck with the 8 Elite. So very happy to see. It'll be interesting to see it. Now, I bet you that kernel, that custom gaming kernel, is what's going to make it perform better. Because I think this Dimensity 9400 Plus that was benchmarked, was in a Vivo X200, and that was a review unit, so the software is not fully optimized, has a stock kernel, right? This new OnePlus device is going to be blazing fast, so definitely stay tuned, keep an eye on that for y'all whenever this does come out. Now, it will not be launched in the United States. If you want to get this, you're gonna have to go to probably GizTop or eBay. I suggest GizTop. There will be a website or two. Whenever it gets launched, I will find a way for you. So tune in, subscribe to the channel. I'll see what channels this is launched on and let you know where to purchase it if it interests you. Now, moving on to OnePlus, moving on to Nothing. I've been doing that lately, getting Nothing and OnePlus mixed up. So I put a video out the other day. Nothing is going to enter the $1,000 price point. And actually, you know what it was? I put out an AI video in regards to this, a faceless video, basically. But Nothing is stepping into the $1,000 price point. I do not believe this is a bold move for Nothing. Now, before I make my statement and say that I don't think this is going to turn out well for Nothing, let me preface this by saying I think it could work for Nothing. And when I say work for Nothing, I mean selling units, right? That's because that's what it comes down to. They're selling a product, whether it's a phone, whether it's a smartwatch, whether it's a keyboard, whatever, a remote, earbuds. When you jump price points that much, because look, the OnePlus, Jesus Christ, the Nothing Phone 1 was about $500. Nothing Phone 2 was about $600, right? And that was a big deal when they increased it $100. And now they're looking to increase it $400. $400. Now, I think it could work for nothing, meaning a smartphone at $1,000, because this $1,000 price point, this $1,000 market is crowded. You got Xiaomi, right? Because look, nothing, believe it or not, nothing doesn't just compete with the $1,000 phones in the United States, right? The Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, or the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The United States market for nothing is rather small, right? Their biggest market is in Asia, is in India markets, right? Southeastern Asia. Really big. They're based in London. They're big in Europe. So they have not only Samsung to deal with over in those other markets, not only iPhone to deal with in those other markets, they have the phones we don't get here in America to compete against. So they're going to compete against the Xiaomis, the Oppos, all those other companies that don't really sell well in the United States. It's a very, very crowded market. Now, I think it could work for them, but I would like to see a gradual increase to that price point of $1,000. I was expecting this year for them to go maybe up to 700, right? Which is, I would say, suitable. Of course, they did upgrade in the 3A. They did upgrade their sensors. They upgraded the processor. So I was thinking in this Nothing Phone 3, they were going to do the same thing. Upgrade the camera sensors, upgrade the processor, and it'd probably increase the price by $100. But $400? Jesus Christ. Here's the other thing. They don't have any in-house financing on their website. And they don't have any trade-ins. You know, that's another thing. When you go get a phone, whether it's from Samsung or from T-Mobile, right? You have trade-in deals, right? So when the Z Flip 7 comes out in July, you trade in a Z Flip 6, last year's model. They give you, what, $700 off towards the purchase of the new model, the Flip 7, and then you're basically only paying a couple few hundred dollars out of pocket towards a $1,000 phone. They don't have any trade-ins, and I don't think they're ready to have a trade-in program, because it takes a lot of resources to incur and or start a trade-in program. It just does. It takes a lot. And remember, nothing is a small company. Now, they continually get funded, so maybe they're working on this in the background. I have no idea. I don't have any insight. What I do have insight on with Nothing, is that they are looking to expand their United States footprint. If you go on Nothing's website and you go and look at careers, they're actually hiring for a couple positions. I know a couple of them have been filled, but there's still some available for their U.S. market. And one of the careers at Nothing is U.S. marketing and sales executive. So it says in their description, you go to London for 6 months and you basically work in their at Nothing, right, at their headquarters. And then after the 6 months is done, you move to the U.S., and it looks like they're going to try and expand their U.S. footprint, because currently they're still operating in the beta program here, and not all of their devices work on all U.S. carriers. T-Mobile seems like it's the only one that truly works, and that's not even, it doesn't even support all T-Mobile bands, right? AT&T's hit or miss, and Verizon's hit or miss, and all the smaller MVNOs underneath that are hit and miss. But T-Mobile and anything under T-Mobile seems to work fine on Nothing phones, right? T-Mobile, Metro PCS, Mint Mobile, Google Fi, all that stuff. If it's a T-Mobile MVNO, it works fine. So, I don't think they're going to sell a lot. Because, as I mentioned, no in-house financing, no trade-in programs, and before we get off of here, even if they moved into the $700 market, who would be your competition, right? The base model flagships, the S25, base S25, the base iPhone 16 series. OnePlus, right? That would be a no-brainer competition. So then you're like, well, in the $700 market, at that price point, what phone would you rather have? A nothing phone, or probably if you're going for a nice flagship phone, you're not going to get a base S25, right? That's the base model small phone. Probably not going to get the base model iPhone small phone. It's going to be a nice big flagship phone. So in that $700 market, you're basically looking at OnePlus. So that's one phone here in the United States. When you move up to the $1,000 price point here in the US, if you asked a random person, what would you rather have? The Nothing Phone 3, which I'm sure they've never heard of, or a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra? They're going to choose the S25 Ultra. Would you rather have this Nothing Phone 3 or an iPhone 16 Pro Max? They're going to choose the iPhone 16 Pro Max. See what I'm saying? Like, I think they need to build up a little more cachet. They can build up to that $1,000 price point maybe down the road, but it appears they're jumping all in and going all in on a $1,000 price point. So it'll be 800 euros, and that is equivalent to $1,062 here in the United States. Interesting tidbit here is that this Nothing Phone 3 is going to have a flagship Snapdragon CPU. So they've signed a deal with Qualcomm to release 3 devices with Qualcomm CPUs. Now, they've already released 2. Nothing Phone 3A, Nothing Phone 3A Pro. Now, the third phone that they're going to release is the Nothing Phone 3. So that kind of kicks out that question we were talking about last time. If Nothing releases the Phone 3, I was thinking it would be cool to put that new Dimensity 9400 chip in there. But it appears that that's not the case. I was unaware at that time that they signed a deal with Qualcomm to release 3 Snapdragon CPU phones, and apparently this is the third one. Now, at $1,000, you damn well better bet it's going to be the flagship CPU, right? They're not going to put a Snapdragon 7 Gen 4. They're not going to put a Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. They're going to put the real deal 80 Elite in there if it's going to be priced at $1,000, just like all the other phones at $1,000, right? So minus the CPU upgrade, you're going to see bigger, better camera sensors. It says that it's going to have a 5,000 milliamp per hour battery. We don't know if it's going to be carbon silicone or not. Probably not. But when it comes to the cameras, they are putting in a versatile, what it says, triple camera setup. So the primary sensor is expected to be large, but no other details were stated. However, most notable upgrades could hit phones' periscope and telephoto lenses. Sorry. So interesting. You're gonna see a big. I don't know if they're gonna put those 50 megapixel sensors. Probably not. They're probably the 50 megapixel sensors that come in the CMF Phone 2 Pro, the twin 50 megapixel sensors that come in the 3A and 3A Pro. They're probably going to be an even upgraded, better version. Because remember, if you're offering $1,000, you're going to be putting in really, really good sensors. So I expect to see newer sensors. It may not be 50. They may be 42. They may be 48 megapixels. Shit, I don't know. But you're going to see some good sensors in there. So interesting to see how they do. Look, I'm all for it. I just don't know where their expectations lie. And they may not be expecting to sell a lot in the US, right? They might not be expecting to sell a lot here, right? Because again, it is in the beta program. Could play a role in the launch of this. But moving on, let's see, you got a few more minutes. So check this out. Motorola, I keep on getting emails, man. Motorola is owned by Lenovo. I get so many spam emails, spam text messages by Lenovo that Motorola is following suit. I've had about 10 emails from Motorola in the last week urging me to buy this phone. And I was like, so what's the big deal about this phone, right? So what am I talking about? The Moto Razr 60 Ultra. So this is their version, their flip phone, right? They were kind of the OG, the OGs of flip phones, right? With the StarTAC and all that good stuff. Well, I've stayed away from Motorola, and I suggest you do too. Simply because, and it's not necessarily the hardware. It's my deal is it comes down to security. They are so late on updating these devices. I had gotten a Motorola phone. I think it was like last year. Oh, just a little burner phone, whatever. The thing was like 8 months old on software updates. Like, I was like, it can't be this bad. Like, I kept on checking and kept on checking and kept on checking. And said, software is up to date, software is up to date, software is up to date. And it was like 8 months old. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? They don't like to update their phones, but that's my reason. But here are 9 reasons to skip the Moto Razr 60 Ultra. Now, this will compete against the upcoming Z Flip 7 from Samsung, right? Now, check this out. There's some surprising hardware here that when you see this, you're going to be like, the hell is going on? Like, makes you scratch your head. So, here are 9 reasons why not to buy it. Why this is not a good buy. And they say number 1 is the outdated USB 2.0 port. Most USB Type-C ports in these phones are at the very least 3.0, right? The flagship phones like your S25 Ultras are going to be USB Type-C 3.2. Motorola's not even into the 3rd generation. They're way back on 2.0. Now, what's the negative of having USB 2.0? Well, transfer speeds, right? In 2025, a flagship phone with USB 2.0 is unacceptable. Unacceptable. It only allows for transfer speeds of 480 megabytes per second. 480 megabytes per second. Now, when you're transferring files, if you're a content creator, if you're making videos, you're taking pictures, or let's say you're not even a content creator. Let's just say you go to SeaWorld for the day with your daughter and your family and you're taking photos. But you want to upload them to your computer, a special computer program that, you know, that's not cloud-based. And you want to transfer those files into your computer, it's going to take forever. Because the newer phones that you see in the Z Flip 6, the upcoming Z Flip 7, the OnePlus 13s, the Pixel's not on USB 3.2, it's on USB 3.0, but moving into your S25 series, they're all using USB 3.2. That allows for transfer speeds of up to 5 gigabits per second. 5. And just blows away. I mean, that could make that is a huge difference. Now, moving on to number 2, no Netflix HDR support. I don't watch Netflix, but if you do, this will not be the phone for it. Number 3, no dedicated 2x telephoto lens. I don't know how their cameras are. I used to love Motorola, man. I used to have so many Motorola phones. Even the Nexus one. What was it called? Not the Moto Nexus, not the Shamu, this big 6-inch screen. I'm talking about the Moto X4 that had like Google, had like the Nexus or Pixel software on it. The Moto X4, I think is what it was. Google edition. Yeah. Check this out. I used to love this phone. This one right here. Google edition. $2, but it would suck now. But that was a badass phone, right? And now they've just fallen after Lenovo purchased them. Well, technically after Google purchased them, but really Lenovo, they just fell off of a cliff. And it's for these reasons. Whoever's running their mobile department, you can hire me at a much cheaper rate than whatever your mobile division executive you're paying him. I'll work for half of that. No, screw that. I'll work for a quarter of that. And I guarantee you, I will revamp your mobile division. because these are no-brainers. These are no-brainers. Like, why would you not put USB 3.2 in there? Now, we know it's because of cost, right? You have all these part suppliers, and you're getting all these parts from other places, and you're combining them into one device, adding it up, and you got to sell it, obviously for profit. You know how this works. But some of these things can't be but on a parts level. Now I know all this stuff adds up, but on a parts level, can't be that much more. Like a USB 3.2 port, or hell, even a USB 3.0 port, can't be but $1 or $2 more than a USB 2.0 port. That's a no-brainer, right? 2x telephoto lens you can go out and get. Now it's only got it only has 2 cameras on the outside, right? See this right here? But 2x telephoto, no dedicated 2x telephoto. What does it have? So Motorola nixed the 50 megapixel 2x telephoto lens from the Razr 50 Ultra, opting for a 50 megapixel ultra wide instead. The main 50 megapixel camera's virtual zoom, 2x zoom, crops digitally soft, noisy images that can't match dedicated telephoto. So they chose an ultra wide instead of a telephoto. Ultra wide gets you the better wide angle. Telephoto gets you better zoom. I would rather have a better zoom quality than a really wide angled shot, but that's just me. Now, poor portrait photography. That sucks. Like, is it that hard to get the cameras right on a phone? Like, I just, whatever. Weak video performance. So not only does taking photos suck, but so do videos. That says the Razr 60 Ultra struggles with poor highlight control. Now, what does this have in it? Poor gaming performance. So here's a perfect example of a device that overheats. Now, I've had a lot of overheating devices with the 8 Elite. I've had 3 Samsung S25 Ultras. All 3 of them? No, not all 3 of them. What was it? The black one I had. The black one overheated. And then I had what was the other device that I had? Damn, I can't remember. Anyways, I got rid of the black one. Now, this Motorola device, they said, the reviewer says it overheated like within minutes of starting to play games, and basically incurred heavy thermal throttling, which means once the CPU ramps up and gets very, very hot internal temperatures, it'll actually slow down the processor to try to limit those temperatures, right? And he said this happened as soon as he started playing any game. It would overheat and it would kind of ramp back down, which makes for sluggish gameplay. Because if you don't have a strong CPU, or if you do have a strong CPU but it revs it down, yeah, it's not good for gameplay. Rapid value depreciation. Motorola phones drop fast. I'm talking about in price on the secondary market. As soon as you buy one brand new, it's kind of like a brand new car, right? Some cars you can buy them brand new. As soon as you drive them off the lot, they just depreciate like crazy. Same thing with Motorola. So Apple has the strongest resale value. I believe nothing has a strong resale value just because it's simply supply and demand. The supply is much higher. The demand is much higher than the supply. So nothing phones, all the phones I've had and sold, I've sold them almost at the same price I bought them at. Samsung is getting better, I think, right? OnePlus, decent resale value. I would say probably better than Samsung, honestly. It's again supply and demand. There's less of them in circulation in the demand, so the price stays pretty good. But Motorola, nobody wants a Motorola phone. I mean, realistically, no tech enthusiast wants a Motorola phone. I mean, I hate to say that because I know I have a few subscribers that do have Motorola phones, but I think they're hanging on to a feeling that once was with Motorola, because I had that too. I told you I used to love Motorola with their X series, which I just showed you earlier. Anyways, Foldable drawbacks. This one has a major dent in the screen. Not dent, but crease, shall I say, in the screen. Much more so than the Flip 6 and upcoming Flip 7. Much more so. This only has a IP48 rating. I believe the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 is going to have an IP58 rating. And the crease is getting smaller and smaller every year with Samsung. It may just be by a little bit, but you can tell. When you get a new gen Flip series, you can tell it's a little bit less and a little bit less, and eventually they'll get to a no crease display. But it appears Motorola has not really improved at all on the crease over the last couple of years, because as you can tell here in the picture, it's a pretty big crease, right? Now, let's see here. The buggy software, and this goes back to the updates I was telling you about. They don't update their shit. They just don't update their phones, and I can't get down with a company that doesn't care about their phones. And when I say that, that's the very baseline. Software updates is the very baseline. It tells me how invested the company is in their product when it comes to phones. If the company can't even dedicate a number of developers to just software updates, that tells me the company is not fully engaged with seeing these devices succeed. This is the bare minimum at least Android, any phone company should operate on, is keeping your devices updated, and I'm talking about monthly, right? Google issues these updates once a month, and you have no excuse not to get it out on time. Samsung was really bad at this probably 3 years ago in the past, and up to about 3 years ago, everybody, all YouTubers, everybody, even people that are not YouTubers, regular people, messaging Samsung, commenting in videos, on web pages. Samsung was notorious for they weren't as bad as Motorola. Motorola's been bad for years, ever since I can remember. But we all got on Samsung, and Samsung listened to us and fixed it. Now Samsung sometimes beats Google in issuing these monthly updates that Google puts out. Motorola, it's laughable. And I see that because security is a real thing here, right? When it comes to all this stuff. And if they're not even conscious about keeping their customers safe and using their products, then why should we use them, right? If they don't even care about security. It's clear they do not care about security. If they did, this would be updated monthly. Look, it takes, I don't know, 10, 20 developers, probably 20 for Motorola, 25, 30 developers. Hire these developers. Get this done. This is my number one reason why I don't use Motorola phones. Software. They don't update them. Should you buy the Moto Razr 60 Ultra? No. That is a big no for me. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I do appreciate the time, and we never got to the iPhone 17 Air. Let me get to that real quick before I get out of here. You know what? Screw that. I'm gonna talk about this tomorrow. Stay tuned tomorrow. We'll live stream again tomorrow, and I'm gonna set a normal live stream schedule and upload schedule, and I'm going to stick to it. So I'll put those schedules in the video descriptions of my videos from now on, so everybody knows when I'm going to go live and when you can expect a new video. So appreciate the time. As always, make sure you subscribe, and see you in the next one. Peace.